Okay, sir, you're all set.
I appreciate that. So I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Hendersonville Board of Mayor and Aldermen for October 27, 2020 at 7 p.m. And that's our scheduled time to start this meeting. We're going to start this meeting as we typically do. That's with a prayer and a pledge. So please join me in prayer, and then I'll stand up and I'll turn toward the flag behind me, and I'll lead us in the pledge. So if you could, please bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together, and thank you for this opportunity to serve you, and thank you for the wonderful gifts, talents, and abilities that you have provided. Help us to use those to do your work here and as we go away from here. Help us to remember the grace you provided us and those gifts, talents, and abilities, and help us to remember to praise you for those. Also, help us to remember to thank you for the folks that keep us safe here, the people who keep us safe far away. Help us to use your wisdom in everything we do, not just here, but in everything we do. And please especially look after Brenda Grant's family and all those who suffer and all those who hurt, especially at this time when it seems so many are suffering, that so many people are hurt. And help us to get over what we're all dealing with right now, and help us to save as many lives as possible as we continue to move forward and work toward a vaccine. And help us to all make wise decisions, Lord, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
So if you could stand with me. And please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay, could you call the roll for us, please?
Ham. Bolt.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Cunningham.
Here.
Edwards.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Petrelli.
Here.
Robertson.
Here.
Skidmore.
Here.
Sprouse.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Woodcock.
Here.
Clary.
Here.
Looks like everybody's present.
I appreciate that. Just to remind some of our visitors here that this is a board meeting for the 13 of us. There's some folks that we will call on occasionally, and some of us, and some of you may have an opportunity to speak, but in some cases it actually requires a vote of the board to do that. So if you could just do your best and keep an eye on me, and feel free to raise your hand or put your hand up over there on the side. So next I'm going to entertain a motion to accept our agenda. Alderman Woodcock.
I'd like to amend the agenda, please.
If you could first make a motion for me.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, and who is the second from?
Alderman Sprouse.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Woodcock, a second from Alderman Sprouse. Alderman Woodcock. Alderman Woodcock, I think you, were you going to add some things? Did we lose you?
Mayor, in the meantime, I can offer an amendment to add.
Hold on here.
Yeah, I'm sorry you froze. It's weird.
Okay.
I would like to amend the agenda by adding a public hearing to hear comments on a request by Lori D. Ashley to appeal the Hendersonville Regional Planning Commission's decision to deny the addition of a car wash
Okay.
to the list of permitted uses for the
Okay.
Triangle Final Development Plan.
Okay.
And also the appointment of Robert Manning as city recorder effective January 3rd, 2021.
Okay. Should we put the public hearing with public hearings and then the appointment under other agenda items?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
I
second
appreciate
that.
We have a second from Alderman Robertson, I believe. Any discussion on that item? I see Alderman Bolt, Alderman Cunningham. Did you want to discuss that item?
No, I want to make an amendment to the agenda then.
Me too.
Okay. Let's go ahead and vote on this item from Alderman Woodcock that involves two pieces. The first piece is an appeal from the Hendersonville Planning Commission to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen involving the Triangle property represented by Lori Ashley. That's going to be under public hearings. The second item is an appointment of Robert Manning as city recorder. That's going to be under other agenda items. All those in favor of those two additions, which is actually just one amendment, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Pass unanimously. Thank you. Alderman Sprouse.
No, that's fine. Mr. Woodcock got it.
Okay, appreciate that. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to remove Resolution 2020-59 from the agenda. I'm the sponsor of it, so I don't believe
And
it
it's done.
it requires a vote.
Then it's done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor.
Alderman Bolt.
Yes, I need to remove item 8A.
Okay. Done. Okay.
What was that one, Mayor? Just,
Is that all ordinance 2020-40?
Correct.
I appreciate that. As the only sponsors that, you can do that.
Okay.
We have an amended agenda that we all need to vote on. Any other discussion?
just a point of information on that. Could
Go ahead.
you repeat the ones that we took off and tell me a little bit about them? Because my computer tonight, for some reason, I usually have the agenda right here on my right-hand side, and it's not
Okay.
working properly or something.
Alderman Skidmore, no problem at all. We have withdrawn because the sponsor has asked so. Item A, and that's ordinance 2020-40. That's an ordinance amending the budget ordinance by accepting and appropriating sponsorship funds. And then item D, which was the capital outlay notes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
All those in favor of accepting the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Passed unanimously. Thank you, Kay. Next on the agenda, we have two presentations. So I'm going to go ahead and read the first one here. Unfortunately, we have Dave Mooney, and I've asked Dave to speak a little bit after that. Whereas on Veterans Day, America pauses to honor every service member who has ever worn one of our nation's uniforms and has come to our country's defense every time the country has come under attack and each time our freedoms have come under assault. And whereas through the generations, their courage and sacrifice have allowed our republic to flourish while our obligations endure long after the battles and the veterans return home and we make it our mission to give them the respect and care they have earned. And whereas when American veterans return home, they continue to serve our country in new ways, bringing tremendous skills to their communities and to the workforce. Whereas we resolve that in the United States of America, no war should be forgotten and no veteran should be overlooked. And let us always remember our wounded, our missing, our fallen, and their families. And let us welcome our returning heroes with the support and opportunities they deserve. Whereas under the most demanding of circumstances and in the most dangerous corners of the earth, Americans veterans have served with distinction, courage, self-sacrifice, and devotion to our nation and to one another. They represent the American character at its best, and on Veterans Day and every day, we celebrate their immeasurable contributions, draw inspiration from their example, and renew our commitment to showing them the full support of a grateful nation. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim Sunday, November 8th as Veterans Day, as well as Veterans Day Parade Day, which is this year, and acknowledge its profound debt of gratitude to the patriots who have kept our country whole. Dave, thanks so much for y'all putting this together. I want to say this is the eighth or 10th year, and y'all have done a phenomenal job. Do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit more about this? And tell us who you are too, please.
I'm Dave Mooney. I'm the Senior Vice Commander at VFW Post 9851 here in Hendersonville. And along with some other members, I'm the organizer for the Veterans Day Parade. And the parade is put on by both the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 240 and the VFW Post 9851. Our Grand Marshal this year is Lieutenant Commander Lauren Bristol, the former wife of Master Patrol Officer Spencer Bristol. So we're very pleased to be able to honor the family again in another way from the city of Hendersonville. I want to thank the mayor also for the proclamation and for the permission to put on the parade. A lot of things have been canceled this year, and everybody's excited to be in the parade that I've talked to. I talked to the band directors from the high schools. They're all excited for their kids. The ROTC instructors are excited for their kids to be in the parade. And so the parade is going to be Sunday, 8th November. Starts at 2 p.m. as all the parades in the past have done. It proceeds down Main Street from the intersection of Conway, Twitty Lane, and Main Street, and proceeds down to the McDonald's at Executive Park Drive, and we go over and disband over by Imperial Square. This year we're going to have a lot of marching bands. We got a lot of restored military vehicles in the parade. We got both our ROTC units from Hendersonville High School and Station Camp High School will be there, and I hope again to start the parade as we have almost every year with a flyover. It's one of the unique features of our parade, and even the great big parade down in Nashville doesn't start with a flyover. So we're always excited to have that. We'll have the Sumner County Jeep crew back again this year. They were hit of both our parade and the Christmas parade, and the Shriners will be here. So we're looking forward to a great parade, and many of our local businessmen will be showcasing their support for the veterans here in Hendersonville and throughout Sumner County. So remember to social distance when you come out and watch the parade, and please come out and support all our local veterans on Sunday, November the 8th. Thank you.
Dave, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. We look forward to that. The next proclamation, I am going to ask Eddie Robertson to accept this and speak if he would like to, especially for what we have coming up tomorrow, as well as Keith Denon might, I certainly want to give Keith Denon the opportunity to speak as well. Whereas Hendersonville is named for the first postmaster, William Henderson, and the construction of Old Hickory Dam and the creation of Old Hickory Lake brought forth a population growth, whereas a special election was held on June 11th, 1968, regarding the incorporation of an area that would be the city of Hendersonville, and was approved with a vote of 53 for and 26 against, and the city started with 262 residents. Whereas due to a lawsuit filed by local businessmen, followed by an appeal to the Tennessee Supreme Court, the incorporation was delayed until July 26, 1969, when Lewis Oliver Sr., William Ed Cisco, and L.H. Dink Newman were sworn in as the first city commissioners, with Newman being elected the city's first mayor. Whereas the new commission started seeking progress by appropriating funds to line Gallatin Road with streetlights and establishing building codes, whereas police and fire protection were provided by subscription until 1971 and 1972, respectively, when the city began providing services. Whereas with the completion of Old Hickory Lock and Dam and the creation of Old Hickory Lake, the population of Hendersonville increased and steady growth continued. Whereas in 1986, a referendum was held and the city adopted the mayor-aldermanic charter, and the city's first popularly elected mayor was selected. Whereas in March 2006, City Hall was relocated to Maple Drive North. Whereas Hendersonville, now a city of 58,113 residents, has been blessed to be home to churches of various denominations, beautiful and active parks, and neighborhoods of the best citizens anywhere. And whereas the Hendersonville Rotary Club has created a time capsule of items from the city's first 50 years to be dedicated on October 28, 2020, and be opened in 2070. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, and on behalf of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, on this, the city's 50th anniversary, encourage citizens to join with me in recognizing how our city is building a community together for future decades to come. Alderman Robertson, do you want to speak on this, or should we pass it on over to Rotary President Keith Denon?
I will defer to President Denon and then just make one brief final thought.
Appreciate that. Keith,
Keith?
you're muted right now. Now you're good. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor Clary. Thank you to the members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. As Mayor Clary indicated, I am the president of the Hendersonville Rotary Club. About 18 months ago, one of our members had an idea, and the result of that idea is the First Responders Memorial, which if you have driven down Gallatin Road past Memorial Park, you will already see it in place. Tomorrow we will dedicate it, and I want to invite each of you to come to that dedication ceremony. That will be at 3:30. There is a tent, there are chairs. We are prepared for rain or shine. The good news is that we expect this to be a well-attended event. We will be social distancing, but we think that we have adequate space. You know, this couldn't have happened without the cooperation and really the complete endorsement of Mayor Clary. Mayor, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank the Parks Department and the Public Works Department. Both have worked tirelessly with us. When the issue came out about rain or the potential for rain, I know Parks Department jumped right on that for us, and we really truly appreciate them. This is open to the public. We will dedicate the time capsule, which will incorporate, in addition to all the items you referenced, a copy of the original of this proclamation, so that in 50 years, the residents will have an opportunity to see the history of Hendersonville. And most importantly of all, we will be honoring our first responders, the police department, the sheriff's department, the EMS, the fire department, all of those people who risk their lives daily to make our city a great place to live. Please come. This is open to the public. And with that, I appreciate and thank you for your indulgence.
Keith, thank you so much, and thank you for everything the Rotary has done for this. Alderman Robertson.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Keith, for your support for this project. All of the presidents that we've worked with at Rotary have been very supportive, starting with Jonathan Hayes and Fran Marcoux, and now Keith Denon. So thank you. And this wouldn't be possible without this board's support. You donated the land to Rotary for this purpose, so I want to thank each of you. You're to be applauded for your support of the first responders. Just briefly, this proclamation will go in the time capsule, so that's why there's so much history that the mayor read. Thank you, Kay, for putting that together. It's a good history of our city. Our speakers tomorrow, just briefly, will be Representative Lamberth. He's going to be reading a letter from President Trump and also Governor Lee. Then we will have both of the chiefs speak, Chief Bush and Chief Miller. We will have Diane Black, former congressman, do the keynote address. Hopefully the program won't last long, but this is an important day in the history of our city, and I want to thank each of you. Each of you will have a reserved seat, so if you can come, just check with the ushers and they will tell you where your seat is, but we do have a reserved seat for you. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Board, for your support of this most worthy project.
Appreciate it, Alderman Robertson. Alderman Sprouse, do you have a question about this?
I actually have something before we get into the public hearing I need to bring up as a point, get us a point of business.
Okay, appreciate that. We're going to need to add that to the agenda. What is it that you want to add?
We have on the agenda items C and F, and those are requiring separate votes to actually add them to the agenda per ordinance 2002-12. If it's the intention of the sponsors to carry those on, I'd like to make a motion to add those to the agenda.
Go ahead.
Make a motion that we add items C and F to the agenda.
Second.
A second from, I think it was Alderman Hayes. All those in favor of adding those items to the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you, Kay. That passes unanimously. Next, we have a public hearing. This is a public hearing that was noticed in the newspaper and was added to our agenda here. This is a public hearing in front of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen on Tuesday, October 27, 2020 at 7 p.m. Here, comments on a request by Lori D. Atchley to appeal the Hendersonville Regional Planning Commission's decision to deny the addition of car wash to the list of permitted uses for the Triangle Final Development Plan. The property is located on the west side of New Shackle Island Road on the south side of Stop 30 Road as identified by Sumner County Tax Map 145, parcel 057.01. We do not have anybody signed up wish to speak on this. However, I'm going to be flexible in the event that we have had somebody since this wasn't on our agenda. Tina, I think you can hear me. Have we had anybody sign up?
No, sir, there are still no sign-ups.
Is there any indication that somebody has tried?
No, sir, there is not.
I appreciate that. Lori, you're here and you're joining us. You are quite welcome to speak. There's also certainly the possibility that we could suspend the rules and allow you to speak later on. It's really up to you. You can speak now. I can't guarantee that we'll suspend the rules later on.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And I'm more than welcome to, more than happy to speak to the board. I think there was some confusion at the planning meeting about exactly what was going on. And there was a negative motion made that probably should not have been allowed. But, and then we got a little confused, but Commissioner Woodcock, Alderman Woodcock was very kind in bringing it back forward, and we presented it, and it just seems like a natural use for the property next to the convenience store. We've agreed to all staff comments other than we have just a few minor issues, but we're willing to work on that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Alderman Petrelli. Let me caution real quick. This is still the public hearing, so really, if we have questions, we need to do that later.
Okay, I'll wait till the legislation. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Alderman Sprouse, same thing. Wait till later.
You're muted.
I'm sorry for the hand being up. I will lower that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Lori, we appreciate that. I'm going to call the public hearing to an end now. And next thing on our agenda is the approval of our minutes from October 13th, 2020. I entertain a motion to do so.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Motion from Alderman Waters, a second from Alderman Cunningham. All those in favor of approving the minutes from October 13th, 2020, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
I was absent, so I'll abstain.
Clary.
Aye.
That's 12 ayes, 1 abstention.
That passes with majority. Thank you, Kay. Next, we have our Finance Committee report. Chairman Cunningham.
Don't we have citizen comments first?
Oh, I'm sorry. We have no citizen comments tonight. So next we have committee reports. Chairman Cunningham.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I didn't mean to
You're fine.
rock the boat there.
You're fine.
Okay, we had our finance meeting tonight. We had several ordinances and resolutions that we discussed, including the the following. Ordinance 2020-43, an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2020-20 by appropriating funds from the general fund and the hotel motel lodging tax reserve balance. That was recommended unanimously. Ordinance 2020-44, an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2020-20 by appropriating funds from the general fund and transferring additional funds from the Parks Department budget. That was also recommended unanimously. Ordinance 2020-45, an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2020-20 by reallocating funds from the governor's local grant. That was recommended unanimously. Ordinance 2020-46, an ordinance to purchase golf carts, was recommended unanimously. Under resolutions, we had resolution 2020-60, a resolution to apply for a Healthy Built Environment Grant from the Tennessee Department of Health, was recommended unanimously. Resolution 2020-66, a resolution of the governing body of the city of Hendersonville authorizing the issuance, sale, and payment of a non-interest bearing capital outlay note not to exceed $175,000. That was voted, that was recommended by a vote of 2-1, 2 in favor, 1 opposed. Resolution 2020-67, a resolution to adopt a fund balance policy, was recommended unanimously with 1 amendment to it, and that one will come before the board in, is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks? I lost track of the time, but the next BOMA meeting. Under other business, we had wonderful news about our sales tax report. Our month over month we're increased by 10% from last year, $106,000 over, and that gives a year-over-year projection of plus 15% over our projection, or we should be over by the end of the year by approximately $360,000, which is wonderful news. Our hotel motel tax is still struggling. Revenues were a little over $12,000 for the month of September. Cash flow, we had a large paving project that had to be paid for in August, but we're still good with our cash flow. We're not going to need any kind of tax anticipation note, so that's wonderful news. And we went over the stormwater report, which is we're rolling along with projects on the drainage, and we anticipate that to keep on improving over the coming months. And that's the end of my report.
Chairman Cunningham,
Mayor, thank you.
Chairman Cunningham, thank you. Chairman Sprouse, General Committee.
Thank you. The General Committee, the items on the agenda that we have coming forward, item E was recommended unanimously to the board by the General Committee with staff comments. And then the appointment of the finance director as the city recorder was also recommended unanimously. Thank you.
Chairman Sprouse, thank you. Chairman Brown, Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have an actual report, but I do have 2 items that I want to talk about. I want to make sure that the community knows that our fire department has the capability and availability of putting a smoke detector in your home if you need one. Some of our firefighters can come around and do that if there's just a phone call made to our fire 822-111-1119. That can be set up to be done, and there's no charge to the community that needs those fire detectors and smoke detectors. So I would urge you, if you know folks, especially those that are elderly and may not be able to afford that service or physically do that, to reach out to the fire department or reach out to City Hall. We'll get you in touch. The second thing I would like to say that the 28th, which is this week, is First Responders Appreciation Day. And I would like to tell both of our chiefs that I believe are in this meeting, I appreciate you both. And each and every officer and each and every first responder and firefighter and EMT that works for this community. And I hope each one of you that are viewing this and those that are on this meeting will take time to tell a first responder, a fire officer, or police officer they're appreciated. Thanks a bunch.
Chairman Brown, thank you. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works Committee.
Yes, thank you. We have two major items that one, well, over in Ward 6 and the other in Ward 4, but I know all the aldermen on one of mine tonight will be very, very interested in it, as well as the public of Hendersonville. But I'll try to be as concise as possible on this issue. We studied Stop 30 Road, and we realized how many crashes that there had been there, and there has been 30, but no fatalities. So what we're going to try to do is I'm not going to say, when I say widen, don't be thinking like, oh my God, we're going to pave it and widen it. We're going to try to do the side of the roads a little bit better in case there is somebody, instead of crashing into a car, they can pull off on the side of the road, and not have a crash. But we are going to put a road, a no through. I'm just going to have to read this actually. A no through for truck sign down on Stop 30, because we want to try to stop that. Stop 30 Road's a dangerous road at this point. We consider every road dangerous until it's fixed, but we consider it dangerous. So we're going to try to put it in. We're going to put in the order this week for that sign to be placed there on Stop 30. That was the other thing. And then Alderman Campbell and myself are wanting to do the same thing as we're doing on Stop 30 because we're interested in how many crashes that we have on Walton Ferry Road and Saunders Ferry Road. And so we're going to try to have that sometime in November or December meeting for that now. So we're interested in that as well as we are on Stop 30. Now it comes to Alderman Bolt. I was hoping that he would have been at our meeting, a Public Works meeting, but I understand during this time it is difficult to be everywhere that you can be. So, and Alderman Brown as well. We discussed Hidden Lake, and we've moved on to approve to get the work done there on the streets. But here's the key, and this is something that's going to be we're going to study how this works. And I hate to say this, Alderman Bolt, but Hidden Lake just may be the guinea pig of what we're getting ready to do for a lot of the streets in the city of Hendersonville. But in a good guinea pig. It's sort of like this program that we've got could be the COVID answer to our paving problems in the city of Hendersonville. This could be the insulin that we need. We're going to try to scrub a process. It's called scrubbing for some of our streets within the city, because we've had so many complaints, and believe you me, I've heard them. So one thing in Public Works you can say, we never stop no matter what is going on within the city. We may be criticized that we're too slow or we're not responsive enough, but we continue to try to do the best thing that we can for the city of Hendersonville and each ward. What this scrubbing will do is, some of you may know the process. It's not actually paving the street from what we normally would pave a street that would last maybe 10, 20 years on down the line, because we don't have that. The city government does not have that kind of money to do that kind of process to every street in the city of Hendersonville. But the scrubbing that we're talking about is a process, and if Marshall is here, he can discuss it if I don't discuss it thoroughly enough for anybody. But what this process does is it holds the street together for at least roughly 7 years. That gives us time to get to the rest of the roads sooner. If this works, we'll know next year if it works. Well, yeah, it would be next year before we would even make a move on this. But if it does work, this will ease the money pain that we as a city have had or experienced. This work is probably going to be about, I guess, what, Alderman Campbell, about $100,000.
Well, The scrub ceiling is $44,000. That will come in and put a thick coat of sealant on there with an aggregate on top of it, and it'll extend the life of the asphalt. Marcia, you can correct me if I'm wrong, from 5 to 7 years in the life of it. So
Right. And so what that means for each alderman is that we will be able to attack if this works. Now, we don't know if we've never done this in Hendersonville, but if this works, this gives us an opportunity to go to some of the roads that are not as bad, but still need that resurfacing done. And we'll be able to address that because the cost is minimal. The cost will not even, I mean, we'll have to come back to the board, to approve this, but that's the key to all this is the how expensive it is to pave a road. A lot of people don't understand how it is. We can go back and attack some of these roads. That 7 years of paving or resurfacing, I guess you could say, or scrubbing will help us with our money. We'll be able to get more money, go back to the roads that actually need the actual resurfacing, and we'll be able to do it. So if this works, this could be something seriously major for all of the city of Hendersonville. And so Alderman Bolt and Alderman Brown, you guys are really on the stepping stone of going, if this works, we'll be able to tell. Now, that's on the west side. Now on the east side, we're going to be doing some additional work. I don't know I'm trying to think of what that word is, but it's not scrubbing, but we're going to correct that as well. But so I'm not really worried about the west side of the Hidden Lake issue. That's going to be taken care of for sure. I'm more concerned about the west side with this scrubbing. Now, what I would like to do is I would like to, not tonight, obviously, but in the future, I would like to show you exactly through a video, exactly what happens with the scrubbing. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised on what you see that the road looks like after the scrubbing process is taken through. I really don't want to say too much more tonight on this issue because it's brand new to us. We're going to do it. We're going to see what happens. We're going to take a chance on this. I want to personally thank Sarah Locke, who came to our committee with this suggestion. I want to thank Marshall, our public works director, who has been effortlessly, tirelessly, actually, like we all haven't, when we go home sometimes in public works. I don't know about y'all, but, I worry about this stuff. I always have. And when we worry, what are we going to do? How are we going to do things? How are we going to pave roads as cheaply as possible? And this could be our answer. And we'll, only time will tell. But I will tell you this, Alderman, Alder ladies and Aldermen, if it does not work, we're still going to continue tirelessly looking for other avenues, and we'll do it as long as we're on here together. So I want to thank the Public Works Committee too, Alderman Campbell and Alderman Roberson. I thank you for your efforts in this endeavor, and I'm just excited about it. I think this could be very well our answer to a lot of our paving problems that we have in Hendersonville. And Mayor, that's it. We did some other things too, but I'm going to bypass that.
Appreciate
and
that.
go
Hold
on.
May I ask a question?
Hold on, Chairman Skidmore.
Yes.
Alderman Waters, do you have a question? And Alderman Woodcock will come to you in just a second.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry I didn't get to attend the Public Works meeting, but something like early voting or something like that was going on, so I had to be there. So I'm sorry I missed your meeting. But question number one, come again with the money. I wrote 44,000 from Alderman Campbell. Is that what it's going to be?
It is going to be that. Yes. That
44. Because you first said a much higher figure. That's the reason I want to be sure.
Yeah, no, I was corrected and I apologize for that. I
That's
was
okay.
thinking of another road.
That's okay. I just want to be sure I'm right. Okay. Next question. Will this be conducted like the PCI that we paid so much money for 10, 12 years ago to determine which scrubbing we're going to be doing?
Okay, Alderman Waters, good question to ask. The PCI, that program has nothing to do with this. This is actual.
I know that. I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't make myself clear. I ask you, is this going to be conducted the same way as we did the PCI? You know, they went and they did a survey of every street. Are we going to have a company that'll do that to these streets before we scrub?
No, sir.
Or is Public Works just going to take it upon themselves?
No, Public Works will not. They will go by the list of the roads that we have already done within the city of Hendersonville. That program is already involved in it. We've already done that. So we've got a list already. And Alderman Campbell, I think you can answer that. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. We had an engineering firm that come out and studied that road and gave us some suggestions on it. And the actual paving of the road would be $106,109, or the scrub ceiling on it would be $44,000. So we decided to go with the scrub ceiling, which they said would give us 5 to 7 years of life, additional life on that road, so we could come back in a later date and do some additional testing, see if we need to drill some holes in it to see the depth of the concrete, the asphalt, see if we actually need to rebuild the road versus laying a asphalt sheet down there. So that's why it's a little bit more in depth on that particular road.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. I understand that procedure. I was just concerned about, are we just going to delete the PCI program and just start over?
No, sir. No. Okay. We spent $200 and something thousand for a program that is workable. And you know, I would not do that. No, that's not even in the realm of possibility.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Woodcock.
Thank you. You kind of touched on it, Mark. You said this has nothing to do with the PCI program, but I'm confused by that. So where does this road rank on that list? And if there's roads worse, how did this one get chosen over those roads?
Okay, here it is. The deal is the west and the east of the road. Okay, the west side, that's why I was saying it's more important really for me. It's in really, really bad shape, and how it came from Public Works, the department. I don't think it, I think the aldermen were concerned about it as well as the people had come forward. And Pat, do you want to say?
It was like a 39 PCI scale.
I know, but where did it rank as far as the roads? Because here's where I get confused, because
that's what Marshall did to answer that question.
Yeah, whoever wants to answer it after I ask the question. But what confuses me is one meeting we say the words keep politics out of it and use the PCI list, and then the next meeting we're just picking roads. So I'm not mad about it, but I need to know what's the rules of the game. Do I need to be bringing people to City Hall and complaining about their roads? Because for 4 years, I've been telling them, no, we have this new list that's scientific. Politics is out of it. If your road's the worst road in the city, it's going to get paved. And then when that road's paved, the next road's going to get paved. But it seems like we're not actually following that. And I just, I just need to know the rules of the game so that way I can act accordingly and not sit back thinking we're following this list and then we're actually not following the list.
I'll try to answer some of those questions. Every year we budget money to pave with. The majority of that money goes for paving, and there's a list obviously that I send out to BOMA, that staff evaluates, and we've spent a lot of time determining what roads need to be paved throughout the city. Every year, and there's been some roads in the past that we have not only paved, but we have sealed roads. And there's just a much smaller percentage of money that we spend on that. But whether it's new paving or a rehabilitation program, all that comes out of the pavement study, obviously with staff's input, but there's a large part of that. It's based on the pavement study. And one thing to remember is, that the pavement study at this point is 3 to 4 years old. And so in the condition of Hidden Point, that road has deteriorated at a much faster rate than anyone would have expected. And so that's why, staff's input is valuable into this process, because, we don't, it's hard to determine how fast a road will fall apart. And so we've evaluated that, and there's no, the bottom line is that we spend about 15 to 20% of our paving budget on sealing roads. Now, last year we weren't able to, because we had to turn that money back in at the end of the fiscal year. The previous year we did, roads like in Indian Lake and Maple and a few others, but last year we didn't get to do any as a part of that program. But this next spring we plan to continue that program on roads throughout the city, and Hidden Point is one of those roads.
Okay, great. So quick question. The list that ranked the roads, like I have the Excel spreadsheet that has, every road supposedly that's ranked in Hendersonville. If I were to pull up, like, rank them by the absolute worst to the best, how many of the worst roads would be paved? After 4 years of using that study, would the entire first page be paved? Half the first page?
I'm not sure. I know this last fiscal year and the previous fiscal year, we tried to focus our efforts on major roads throughout the city. Obviously, one being Indian Lake, Anderson, Saundersville. We're trying to focus on the roads that have the more traffic on those, and then also try to mix in the residential neighborhoods as well. Now we haven't. I couldn't really tell you what from that list, how that compares to the worst roads. We could look at that, see how it compares, but we try to use our judgment in conjunction with that list to make a good decision. It's like I said, I can't tell you how it compares to the list of roads you mentioned.
Alderman Woodcock, anything else?
No, it's it just changes every meeting. I'm not mad about it. It's just if I knew that we were not really following the list as far as starting at the worst road, then I maybe would have been more vocal to get other roads paved versus just hoping we were following the list. So that's my fault in letting down Ward 5. Thanks.
Alderman Woodcock, thank you. Alderman Brown, a question for the chairman?
Question. Yeah, I guess a question and a statement as well. First of all, I'd like to say that I appreciate the work that's being done on trying to solve some of those issues. Secondly, I would say that that list that Mr. Waters brought up, Mr. Woodcock just spoke about, has not been followed for 2 years. And if anybody on the Public Works Committee would like to sit down with me, I'd be glad to show you that. Hopefully you would know that, but I can tell you that's true. It hasn't been followed. So here's my question. So we're going to spend $45,000 to scrub. I'm not familiar with scrubbing. I thought that was something my mother did when I was a little kid and I got mud on me. I guess there's other things called scrubbing too when it comes to paving. So, but that's supposed to, I think I heard somebody in there say the last 5 to 7 years. Is that correct? I think that was Pat.
Correct.
Mark, is that correct? 5 to 7
Yes, sir,
years?
it is.
That's correct. Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. And we can pave that section for $106,000. I think I heard that figure as well. And most paving will last up to about 15 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So simple math would tell me 5 to 7 years for 44,000 and 106,000 spent for 12 to 15 year period. I'm not understanding why we're scrubbing. I would think that we would be better served if we paved. So I guess that would be a question. So I don't.
It is. That's a
like
good
a lot of
question.
people's hands up. So
Pat, did you want to say something?
Yes, I did.
always
I
try
wanted
to
to-
let my committee members.
I wanted to address that right there. The reason why we're talking about scrub sealing that particular stretch of road is because the deterioration of that road, we need to do some core sampling of it to see the under. Is it just asphalt on top of gravel, or was there an undercoat with the asphalt applied to it? We're not exactly sure looking at the top surface. So we need to go in there and do some testing on it And if we start milling it and we find out, oh, it's just gravel, well, we're gonna have to rebuild the entire road. And it goes from 106 to about 210,000. So there's a big if. What are we dealing here? We don't know for sure. So to give us some time, we wanted to scrub seal it and then come back and correct it in a year or two. That's exactly what we had a discussion with our city.
So how long does it take to go in and do a test like you all are talking about?
We'll have to ask Marshall or Sarah. She was the one who was discussing it with us.
Yeah, but for a core sample, it's not long. One thing I want to add to that is another reason why we're doing the scrub seal is this particular neighborhood has curb and gutter. And so in most of those situations, before we pave, we go in and remove, that top layer of asphalt and then put down a new layer of asphalt.
Right.
It's kind of the typical process. Well, in this situation, we do not want to remove what is there. And so the idea is that, putting down, brand new asphalt on top of what's there, the typical way we do it, it could alter the way the drainage works. We had to fill in the gutter and fill up on the curb to make that work. And when we're obviously trying to limit that as much as we can to allow the proper function of the street. But that's the main reason. We don't want to remove what is there and end up causing more damage.
I understand that, but I still want to go back and ask the question because it seems like we want to try to just beef up this road for a while so we get it tested. How long does it take to do a test to find out if we can pave it a certain way? I mean, that doesn't, core testing, what I know of core testing is not a long, lengthy, drawn out affair.
Right. I don't think it would take long to do it, but the scrub seal is something, regardless of what we core test, that's something we need to do this, as soon as we can. But then the scrub seal would buy us time until next year to make a decision on how to move forward.
So we'll spend $44,000 to bide time until next year until we can get a core test done, and then we may pave that road in the same year.
No.
No, that's not a trick question.
No,
I'm trying to find out why we're not doing the core testing now, and then we'll know exactly what we need to do.
Why don't you? Okay, and I understand something has to be done to that road. If we let it go, it's going to be way more damaged than you'll ever have down there. I would rather have something on there, not maybe consider it being patchwork work, but to have something down there that's gonna do it, that the people can drive on instead of not driving on it. If you all as a board of aldermen determine that this is not what you've got to do, I may disagree with you all, but if it's something that you all decide that we shouldn't do it, we don't have to do it. I'll disagree and go on and keep searching for something better that you all might like. But if you don't, I can't stop you from that. But at least we've got to try something, or the roads are going to crumble all over the city of Hendersonville. I don't think any of you want that.
Chairman Skidmore, let me move to Alderman Bolt. I think he has a question. Alderman Bolt.
Yeah, I was just going to add that, the question came up relative to, and now it's kind of almost beating a dead horse, but question came up as to following that list. We've not been following that list to speak of, and certainly not street by street. So in the last meeting, for those that attended, staff came in and said exactly what Marshall has said, which is, and also Alderman Skidmore, in as much as things are deteriorating pretty quickly, and it couldn't wait another year in order to come up with another solution. I don't disagree with Alderman Brown on, if there's something that we could come up with quicker, that's great, but it can't wait. And so this is new information. This is not following a list because it's a list. It's because new information has been found and something has to be done in order to solve this problem right away. So I appreciate Marshall and his staff going in there and taking a look and coming up with that information. as far as not being on the meeting today, that's my fault. I wasn't at early voting. I was unaware that we were doing that. I thought last time I had heard we was going to be at a special meeting, but as you know, I've been involved in this from the get-go. And I appreciate Alderman Skidmore and Alderman Campbell and Alderman Roberson getting a handle on Hidden Point. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Bolt. Alderman
Thank you,
Petrelli,
Mr.
question for the chairman.
Thank you,
Anyway,
Mayor.
that's it. We'll bring you up to date in a couple of
It's
weeks.
unfortunate that we have not followed that paving list, which we paid $250,000 for in 2016. I do realize that the Public Works Director, could not control that because he was given a directive as to which roads were to be paved. But if we had followed that list, our very poorest condition roads would have already been paved by now. So
Alderman Petrelli, do you have a question for the chairman, please?
I do. If you don't interrupt me, I could get to it. So my question is, if we're going to do scrubbing, I would prefer to hear from Marshall, since this is what was discussed via Sarah. If we're going to do scrubbing, like what percentage of the roads are going to be scrubbed?
First of all, we got to even find out whether this is something that's viable or not.
So are we back to following the paving program list, Marshall?
As I mentioned earlier, I want to maybe clarify one thing, that there's a small percentage of the money that we spend every year that goes towards rehabilitation.
Right.
And historically, we have not. I mean, that's something that we look at the pavement study, talk to staff, and we come up with a list of roads that we feel like need that and warrant it based on their pavement condition. And so we've done that the past 2-3 years, and this year is no different. We're this spring, we're going to develop a list and implement that. And Hidden Point is just a part of that. We don't have a formal list yet evaluated of roads that we're going to rehabilitate with a different program other than paving. But once we identify those roads, we will disseminate that information just like we do the paving. It's just not as obviously the paving. I feel like it maybe is a little more important. Everyone likes having a new road to drive on, so we disseminate that. We get the word out of what roads we're going to pave and spend a lot of time carefully deciding which ones should be paved. But the rehabilitation is a separate. It's just different. It's a separate evaluation, but nonetheless, it's still important nonetheless.
Sure. I appreciate you and Sarah thinking outside of the box. Of the list of roads that you gave us about 9 weeks ago that were going to get paved this year, have those roads been paved?
No, Rogers Group has met with staff as of yesterday and looked through those roads, marked the areas of repair, and we should see some activity next week from Rogers Group on getting those roads paved. And there'll be some prep work at the beginning, but as they get through that prep work, they'll start paving. And the goal is to get that list done by the end of this year.
End of this fiscal year?
Calendar year.
Calendar year. Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Waters, do you have a question for the chairman?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Chairman Skidmore, you keep talking about east and west. You're confusing me. What do you keep referring to when you say east and west?
Yeah, there's the road. There's an east side and a west side of the road.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And there's homes that are sitting inside Hidden Lake. If you went down, I mean, I'm not telling you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. You're talking about that particular street, right?
Right. Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay. Forgive me. You're talking about that one street. Okay.
Right. It's only one street.
Okay. Let's bypass that then.
All right.
I think we got a list out from Marshall the other day about Glen Oaks. Marshall, if I may ask you.
Yes, sir.
Will scrubbing be part of that Glen Oaks subdivision, or are we talking about paving?
That's paving.
That's paving. And you still got the date set for when,
There were two lists I sent out. The first list will be done this fall. The second list that came after that will be done this spring.
Spring.
And so that Glen Oak was in the second list, will be done this spring.
I believe you're right. Absolutely. I can't get back to what Alderman Woodcock and excuse me, and Alderman Lady Petrelli just mentioned about the PCI survey of 2016. I've looked at it one day this week. I've got the whole stack, and I'm sure some of those streets have been paved since this was performed 4 years ago. But I encourage you, let's try to stick to that if we can, because that's very important. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Robertson, a question for our chairman?
Yes. Isn't it true, Marshall and Chairman Skidmore, that the staff, the professional staff, uses the rating instrument that we're talking about as a guide, but they also use their professional judgment, just like Chairman Skidmore said, some roads do deteriorate quicker. And so 3 years ago, when this study was done, roads may have deteriorated quicker. So in Public Works, we listen to the professional staff. They go out and personally observe these roads, and they bring back to us their recommendations, just like on the road that we're referring to. Sarah Locke came back and said, we personally, me and Trace has gone out, and if we don't do something on this road by this winter, we're going to have to spend a ton of money. And so we took their professional opinion. We hired a consultant. They said, this is what needs to be done. So there's no politics involved in this situation that I can smell. It was based upon the professional judgment of our staff, and Public Works moved forward using that study as a guide, but also giving a lot of weight to the professional staff as they go out, evaluate, and then they make recommendations. So I just wanted to say that for the record, Mr. Skidmore, to support the Public Works. You know, we're listening to the staff, and this road's got to be done. And I think this is a good application. It's a novel application, but I think it's a good novel application. And if I didn't think it would last a year, Alderman Brown, I wouldn't be voting for it. I think we'll get 5 to 7 years out of it, which will help us significantly deal with other roads that are in bad shape in each of our wards. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Robertson. Alderman Skidmore, anything else in your report?
No,
Thank you.
I think that's enough for tonight. But I will tell you this, I do want to bring it back. I still am committed, and then I'll close. I'm still committed that this could be an answer that what the city as a whole we need, because of the money, really. But we'll see. I mean, it remains to be seen. We'll know.
Hold on, Chairman, excuse me, Alderman Sprouse, do you have a question for the Chairman Skidmore?
I do. Mark, aren't we just basically looking into the situation when we did that study that the company that put it together for us told us what the annual expenditure was going to be for us to maintain different levels of quality if we basically wanted to have A, B, and C levels of roads?
Yes, sir.
So really isn't the issue, though, that we haven't put enough money towards it? I mean, what's going to change in the next 5, 6, 7 years? I just feel like, I mean, I'm trying to figure it out. If we're paying
Mr. Alderman
study, why are we
Sprouse,
following it?
yeah, Alderman Sprouse, you've hit it dead on, really. I mean, it's about funding it. And we just have not been able to fund this the way that we should, or the way it should be. I don't know what the budget's going to be next year. I know that after all this election stuff is over November 3rd and we all come back, you know, at least in Public Works, we're going to start working on our budget, and we're going to just tell you exactly what you need. It's exactly what you said right then. If we get the funding that we need, the scrubbing will become, I guess, it won't go away, because we won't know until next year whether it's viable or not. But if we're funding for our streets the way that we are, then they will get paved. And so it's all about budgeting the money. Well, but you're right, Scott, or excuse me, Alderman Sprouse, you're right. It is about funding what the roads need. And we just hadn't been
Seems
doing
like
it.
we're in a situation, because I do know that list has been avoided. And I appreciate the changes that have happened in the last year to keep staff looking at that list. But it's almost to the point that if we're not going to use that study, we would have been better off using that money to pave 3 or 4 miles of road.
Yeah. Well,
amen.
Chairman Skidmore, anything else?
No, I understand it's a headache, but we got a bottle aspirin we're ready to take to keep us going straight. But I understand what you're saying.
Alderman Brown, a question for Chairman Skidmore.
Yes, sir. He probably said this, but I missed it in all of our conversations.
Right.
Is that going to be completed this fall? Is that what you said?
Yes. Yeah, we're scheduling it. Yes, to get the process completed. That'll give Sarah time to look at it. It'll give time Marshall to look at it, and we'll be able, and the alderman, I encourage you to go look at this process. That's why I said earlier that, it may not be our next meeting, but the one afterwards, we want to show you the video of it's the very same thing that's going to be happening to Hidden Lake, and and then everybody, even in town, can see it. I think that's important, is to keep the people, of our city, our constituency, well aware of what's going on in our paving program. So to answer your question,
when that starts, if Marshall could just send an email, I would like to actually physically go watch some of that being done, if that's possible.
Absolutely.
It can be. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chairman
Thank
Skidmore,
you all very much.
Chairman
Thank you,
Skidmore,
Mayor.
thank you. Chairman Campbell, Capital Projects Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to add to the paving study issue there. The amount that they referred us to pave per year was $2.5 to $3.5 million in funding per year for paving stuff, and also sealing, fog sealing and sealing of roads in Hendersonville. So that's all I have for my report tonight. Thank you very much, Mr.
I appreciate that. Alderman Woodcock, Planning Commission.
Thank you. Since our last meeting, we approved the site plan for Durham Farms Phase 1, Section 16, and Phase 2, Section 27. We approved the preliminary plats for Savannah Phase 8, Section 2, and Phase 9. As mentioned earlier, the added use for the car wash resulted in a 4-4 tie, which means it was denied. That's my report.
Thank you, Alderman Woodcock. Dave, City Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Got a couple things on the agenda here. Doing evaluations with Marshall, Chris, and Kay at this point. Also working on the cameras in security, City Hall, IT as ordering cable, ordering cameras, things like that. So hopefully in the near future, we'll have cameras in the parking lot, front door, hallways, meeting room, and so on and so forth. We've had a couple of issues at City Hall with people coming and going that we don't know who they are. Some things missing in the hallway and things like that. So we think the security system is much needed and overdue. So we're working on that, and I appreciate IT working on it quickly. I want to thank Andy and the Parks Department for putting on the fish fry a week ago, Thursday, and that was a really good event to help bring our community back together, and all of our workers that have worked so hard through this COVID, all city employees, fire, police, parks, public works, all the people, City Hall and everywhere. So I appreciate that, Andy. Let's see, rugby had the complex opening. Complex looks great. It was a great use of the property. A lot of hard work with a lot of different people. That rugby opening, it's a good deal. Appreciate Planning Commission taking care of the business about the 4-4 tie and a special call meeting that worked out in the city's favor. Got several things going on with the irrigation. Country Hills going to the main line and the main pump. We're going to have a meeting here in the near future to discuss that irrigation line that runs about 2.5 miles, I guess, all the way to Gallatin Road. So we'll be meeting on that pretty soon. Of course, we've already talked about the 9/11 service tomorrow. And again, the capital outlay note, we'll be coming back with that, ASAP. We got some time sensitive things on that. So we'll make sure we get that on the agenda in November the 10th. Department heads following the rules, a lot of good things going on. And you see by the committee meetings, the fire department, police, public works, you see by the public works report, you see codes permits are up, inspections are 60 to 70 a day. Planning department is blowing and going. Finance department, Robert has got a lot of stuff going on in his department. IT is really busy. HR has got a lot of new policies and things coming up. Andy's got a lot of things going on in the parks. Mr. Bradley's giving us good advice, and Kay's keeping us all straight. So staff's doing a great job, and I appreciate them. So I don't know if anybody has any questions for me.
Yeah. Alderman Woodcock, did you say your question, or were you talking to a child?
I'm on mute, so it's not me.
Okay. Looks like we're good. Next item on the agenda is item B under ordinance and resolutions. This is second reading of ordinance 2020-41. Thank you, Dave, by the way.
Thank you, Dave.
This is an ordinance amending the budget ordinance 2020-20 to accept and appropriate unanticipated revenues and expenditures. Alderman Petrelli.
Make a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion from Alderman Petrelli and a second from Alderman Sprouse. Any discussion on this? All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2020-41, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Aye.
Campbell, Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli.
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore, Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Passed unanimously. Thank you, Kay. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2020-46 as an ordinance appropriating funds to purchase golf carts for the Parks Department. Alderman Bolt.
So moved.
We have a motion from Alderman Bolt and a second from Alderman Robertson.
I second it. I have a comment or an amendment, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Alderman Robertson.
As you know, the bid for the golf carts came in under bid, and there was approximately $9,500 under bid. So that money will go to the parks. They were planning to use that money to refurbish the carts, but a quick look at the numbers of the bid, it looks like for about maybe a little over $4,000 additional monies that they can buy brand new carts. And instead of having 5-year-old carts and spending money to refurbish 5-year-old carts, for if we can get the same bid, it will for less than $5,000, we may be able to buy 6 new carts for parks. But the resolution is not clear in that manner. So what I would like to do, I would like to add the following language to the wherefore section of that, because if the bid comes in too high, or if the bid comes in unreasonable, then they will go toward and refurbish the older carts. So on the last sentence, I would like to add this language where it says, with proceeds from the trade-in of 6 used carts to be used for either the purchase or refurbishment of 6 new or used golf carts for the Parks Department. So what that language does, that gives the Parks Department flexibility. If the bid comes in too high, they'll just refurbish the old carts. But if it comes in like the existing bid that we've got, they will go ahead and proceed to purchase new carts for the small incremental increase. So with that amendment, I'll be glad to read it again if anybody's not clear. But with that amendment, I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Alderman Robertson and a second from Alderman Hayes to amend this. And help me out, Alderman Robertson. So we would read that whole last paragraph. And when we get to Country Hills Golf Course, interfund loan to the Parks Department, Parks assets, go on. 6 used golf carts to be used for either the purchase or refurbishment of 6 new golf carts for the Parks Department.
Well,
Oh, I said that
for
wrong.
for 6 new or used
There we go.
golf carts.
Okay.
So yeah.
Alderman Hayes, is that your understanding as well?
Yes, sir. That's perfect.
Okay, okay. Any discussion on that amendment?
Andy, do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm good. Thank you.
All those in favor of this amendment, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
That passes unanimously. Now we're back on the main motion. All those in favor of approving first reading of ordinance 2020-46 as amended, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kate calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Passed unanimously. Thank you, Kay. Next, we have resolution 2020-62. This is a resolution to appeal the Henderson Regional Planning Commission's decision to deny the addition of a car wash to the list of permitted uses for the Triangle Final Development Plan. Alderman Woodcock.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Alderman Woodcock and a second. I believe there's Alderman Sprouse.
Yes.
Thank you. Any discussion on this?
Yes, I have a question, please.
Go
Mayor.
ahead, Alderman Robertson, please.
Thank you. And this may be a question for staff, either Keith or Marshall. It's my understanding that that the developer of this property has agreed to the conditions or that is recommended by the staff. Is that your understanding?
I can address that, Alderman. The applicants have agreed to staff comments with the exception of Public Works comment number 3. And based on our discussion with the with Greenlid this afternoon, I believe that they're also disagreeing with numbers 4 and 5 as well.
Would you read those out to us, please?
Certainly. So Public Works comment number 3, and you can find these on page 28 of your packet. Comment 3 says, with the development of each lot, either construction of required roadway improvements along the right-of-way frontage of the lot must be provided, or a payment in lieu as determined by the City of Hendersonville Public Works Department must be paid. And that in comment number 5, southbound right turn lane on New Shackle Island at the northern driveway is suggested and may be considered in future city projects. And then number 6 states right in, right out access restriction for northern New Shackle Island driveway recommended. In my understanding, I don't know if the applicant is on them as well. And correct me if I'm wrong about this, but on numbers 5 and 6, my understanding is y'all's response is that while you do not object to those particular improvements being done by somebody else, the applicant does not want to be responsible for providing those.
So without objection, we're going to ask Lori if she would like to speak on these. Any objection to that? Alderman Robertson, Alderman Petrelli, Alderman Waters, I see your your blue hands up. I assume it's to speak on something else, unless you want to object on suspending the rules here. Okay,
I
Lori,
want to speak on the issue, but go ahead.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Lori, do you want to speak on this?
All I wanted to say is we have been working with staff from day one. That is a state highway, and I just want all aldermen to know that we gave up 25 feet, the entire length of the triangle, for any road improvements and didn't get 1 cent for it. So I feel like we've contributed enough. I don't really understand the write in and write out at the convenience site. But what I discussed today with Andy at Green LID was that when the next site is delivered, then we're more than happy to work with the ingress egress there. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Timothy, do you want to finish up your comments?
Well, I mean, if you have further questions about those particular public works comments, Marshall, I don't know if you want to discuss those. I don't have any other comments on the project itself, unless you'd like me to just give a brief run through of kind of the history and where it's been.
Hold on one second. All these come from Alderman Robertson's question to explain the staff comments. So Alderman Robertson, do you want to lead this as far as what you're looking for?
Yes, thank you. You know, my concern on this is traffic. Everyone knows that New Shackle is just really congested. And my concern is people coming south, I believe it's south on New Shackle toward town, that trying to turn into the car wash is going to back up traffic with the traffic conditions. So I'm more interested, I think, in number 5 of the issues, because it deals with traffic. And I assume, Marshall, that's why that Public Works put that in, was to deal with traffic turning into the car wash going south on New Shackle.
Yes, Alderman Robertson, that's correct. We had our on-call traffic consultant evaluate this site, and that was one of the recommendations, was to add that turn lane as well as restrict access. And I like to compare it to there's a gas station, Thornton's, on the north side of town on Main Street, where you have a situation of a left turn lane at Winston Hills, and you have an access point for the Thornton's. And because of that location of the access at Thornton's, it creates a conflict with cars trying to turn into Thornton's, as well as cars trying to turn left at the signal. And so that was, I believe, that's what I kind of think of when I think about this, the comment, but the right in, right out. I think so close to being so close to the intersection would help alleviate some of those conflicts, as well as a right turn, right turn in. But it obviously was not, based on the evaluation, it was not, warranted at this moment. But in the future, that right turn lane could potentially be warranted. So we felt like we needed to have it at least documented and make it known and make sure everyone's aware of it, and then be sure to reevaluate in the future.
So Chairman Sprouse, what was the recommendation from General on this?
It was a unanimous recommendation.
With staff comments?
Well, the concern was that they would be able to work things out. And so clearly those have not been able to be worked out. So the board's going to have to make a determination on that.
Are we voting on the added use or the site plan?
That's a good question. And let me, if I could interrupt you, Alderman Robertson. Keith, help me out here. I know on the Planning Commission, the motion would be to approve this application with staff comments. Is that the way this motion needs to be worded?
Yeah, this would be, if it was approved, would be approved with staff comments. Okay. And then also there is a site plan, but that's not before BOMA. Okay. If BOMA approved the add use, then the site plan would then go to the Planning Commission for review.
Okay, thank you. Kay, who made the motion? Alderman Woodcock, and who made the second?
Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you. Is that y'all's understanding of what the motion was, to approve this request with the staff comments? Alderman Woodcock.
Yes.
Okay, Alderman Sprouse, would you agree with that?
I would rather, if we're going to have some question, or what the staff comments are, and just go ahead and resolve that. If 5 and 6 is in question, then I think perhaps we need to vote in 5. We need to vote on 5 and 6.
Okay. I need a place to start is what I'm shooting for. So at this point, I need somebody to second Alderman Woodcock's motion to approve this with staff comments.
Well, that can be the second of my motion, but then I can offer an amendment that we strike 5 and 6.
There you go. Okay, we will come back in a second. So what we have on the floor is to approve this request with staff comments. Alderman Robertson, I interrupted you a little bit. I want to come back to you.
Oh, I understand. I understand the motion.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Let me say this too. I have no objection of this being the purpose for a car wash. I'm just concerned about the traffic.
Okay.
That is in Ward 6.
Okay.
And I just know that people trying to get out of stop 30, the traffic is horrible. And I'm afraid that if we don't address this on the front end, that it'll be a bad situation.
Okay. Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Waters, I'm going to come to you in a second. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to speak generally about Planning Commission procedures, so I might ask a question to Mrs. Ashley and Mr. Free, but having served 2 years on the Planning Commission, there were a couple of times where we had some very periodic, peculiar procedural confusion, which seems to be what has led to this coming to the full BOMA. So I would like to suspend rules and ask Mrs. Ashley a question.
You're already good. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you given an opportunity to present your site plan and project?
I was not.
Okay. So my question for Keith is, I tried to get to this in general, but we ran out of time, is when we have business owners coming into town and presenting to our planning commission, and I realize that the planning commissioners can, vote something down, but I would really like to see courtesy extended to those business owners, that their presentations are at least heard on the front end, because typically that eliminates a lot of questions and confusion and wind up being in the position that we're in right now. So is there a way to get that procedurally rectified, Keith, or do I need to support legislation to make sure that presentations are heard?
Well, in this specific instance, there was that came before the Planning Commission. There was adding a use to a plan development, which typically is just a standalone thing.
Right.
The owner developer determined to go ahead and move forward with, at the same time, which is okay, move forward with a site plan. It's a little bit risky, but sometimes when you have something that's kind of time sensitive, a developer applicant will take that chance to go ahead and go to the expense of doing a site plan. So in this instance, when it went to the Planning Commission, the first issue to come before the Planning Commission was not the site plan, even though the planning commissioners had the site plan and were familiar with everything that was proposed in the site plan and the staff report for the site plan. But their first determination was to determine whether to add the use. But with the vote being a 4-4 tie, then it was a negative decision on the use. So there wasn't anything to do with the site plan, because that particular use of a car wash that the site plan was presenting was not an approved use.
But just, refresh my memory, didn't the Planning Commission recently set precedent in approving a car wash somewhere else off of Rockland Road?
Yes, they did. And Timothy, remind me, I believe that particular one, it was just, they didn't go to the expense of, or the risk of the site plan at the same time. They just submitted the add the use. And then now actually we're in the process now that they've submitted a site plan after they were approved. Is that correct, Timothy?
That's correct. They did it sequentially. So the site plan was not presented until the month after the use was added to the FDP.
Well, and I understand that. It just kind of makes the whole situation a little bit even more ironic. I guess I would just like to see a little bit more care taken in the procedures of the planning commission to avoid situations where you come out the gate with a negative recommendation and there's no opportunity to present when somebody's made an investment of time and money. I think it would be worth the effort to at least hear the discussion. We extend that courtesy all the time on BOMA. I realize it's a little bit different with projects. But anyway, I'm going to support this. We have set this precedent in town elsewhere. We literally just put a convenience store gas station in Ward 1, you know, in where there's an off-ramp from the highway. There is a cut through on the off-ramp from 386 into a gas station. It's an off-ramp merging turn lane. So while I do understand Alderman Roberson's concerns about that, I completely get that. I mean, I pulled all the traffic stats for that particular project to understand how many accidents were there prior. But when we set precedent in town for different projects, we need to be consistent with that precedent and not pick and choose. That seems very odd to me. Anyway, thank you all for listening to my concerns, and I'll be supporting this.
Thank you, Alderman Petrelli. Alderman Waters.
Mayor, before I speak, are we going to vote on staff 5 and 6 first?
Well, right now, that's included in the motion.
Well, what about number 3? I thought that was.
Right now, all of those are included in the motion.
Mayor, I offered an amendment quite some time ago to strike 5 and 6.
Well, you weren't, I get that, but you weren't quite in the list. We needed to go back to Alderman Robertson, who was speaking at that point, and then I'm going to go down the list then. We will come back to you in a few minutes.
No,
Alderman Waters, go ahead.
No, I think that when I seconded the amendment, when I clarified what the second was, I made the second to the main motion and said, and I offer an amendment that we strike 5 and 6.
That was different than what the main motion was. Alderman Woodcock made the motion with all staff comments. So if you don't want to second that, we need to find somebody else to second that.
Clary rules again. Thanks.
Do you want to second it, or should we find somebody else to second it?
I would like to have my amendment be recognized.
We will come to you. You're on the list of people who have their hands raised. Would somebody like to second the main motion? That is to consider this request with all the staff comments.
I'll second it.
Alderman Robertson. Alderman Waters. So what we are considering is we're considering the application with all the staff comments. Obviously, there's going to come a time when somebody's going to make a motion to remove some of those staff comments, or you can do that.
But I just need to know where to start before I start my comments. I didn't want to interrupt the voting on the staff report.
Okay.
So I would make the motion that we remove number 3.
Okay.
Number
so we
5.
have a
Excuse me.
Your motion is to remove staff comment number 3?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other items you want to remove?
5 and 6.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Alderman Waters, go ahead. If you want to discuss, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been waiting 2 days for this. Excuse me. Before I get started, I've been sitting here listening to people, and I was trying to think in my 8 years if I've ever challenged the Planning Commission's decision, and I can't find a one that I have up until tonight. I want to go back to the planning meeting the other week. Excuse me. As I watched the meeting, I was really confused when I heard one of the members on that board make a statement, and it said, "I travel New Shackle Island quite often." And that same member is the one who made the motion to deny the request, and it passed, although it was 4-4. So I'm sitting here thinking, does that mean that if you travel a certain road quite often, you have the forecast and you can predict what can and cannot be built at a certain location? Although I'm sure he's also done his research on this before that. But another thing, a call to the alderman in that ward to discuss this, as far as I'm concerned, would have been deeply appreciated. Now, I don't know whether he talked to my cohort or not, but I was never contacted, and I think that should have been done. Keith Free, are you available?
Yes, Alderman.
Thank you. Page 27, Keith, if you don't mind. I'm counting 5 errors back here behind the potential site of the car wash. 1, 2, 3, 5. Can you help me on that and tell me what they are and what they're supposed to be for? Page 27.
I can mention that.
Yeah, go ahead, Timothy.
Yeah, so those lots with frontage on Old Shackle, the four lots there, kind of to the most northern lots, are for offices, and then the 5th lot there to the south or southwest is for retail or office uses.
The one right at the corner of the pie, I call it a pie, right at the tip end. That can be used for a other than an office.
Yes, sir. That could be retail.
Okay, and these first 4, are they strictly offices only, nothing else?
That's correct. Where it says phase 3, 4, 5, and 6, those are office only.
Okay, okay. Can you or Keith even tell me what cannot be built at this location? The location as a whole. Now, I'm sure there's some.
Are you talking about all of the lots together, or just?
I'm talking about that triangle. I'm talking about the triangle.
As a
Tell me
whole.
what cannot be.
Well, there's a whole slew of uses that cannot be built there, such as manufacturing, vet clinic, entertainment and amusement services. What
about restaurants? Restaurants?
Restaurants are allowed on those lots with frontage on New Shackle.
They are allowed at one of these 4 in the back here on Old Shackle?
No, sir, not on the 4 on Old Shackle.
That's strictly offices.
Yes, sir.
But down on New Shackle Island, on the front, we can have a restaurant.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, let's see, what was I thinking? As I look at the location every day, I go by there every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. I see no revenue coming in. We get nothing to this community. For some reason, we have a problem, and it goes back several years ago. I remember very well. We have a problem allowing something to be built that will help the city bring revenue. Now, this is Ward 6. We have 2 car wash locations already within probably a mile and a half of this location. They're the regular mom and pop type, I call them, and they're both up for sale. Both of them, I've talked to both of them, they're up for sale.
Hey, Alderman Waters, you've got some pictures. Do you want those displayed
Yes,
now?
I do. I'm gonna get to them, give me about, go ahead, put them up there.
Okay, okay. Tina's working on that. Yeah, Tina's working on that now. There we go.
There you go. There you go. Okay, I looked at 2. This one's in Gallatin, and I looked at another one close to City Hall, I think, where the Kroger store. These 2 are, I guess, about the same in a way, but this one is ideal to what the applicant wants to build. Now, there is you saw the front entrance, the back. Here's where they. Now, these here, I was told, they come. They don't get out of the car. They go right through, and they come out here. And of course, we've all experienced the one up here at Kroger's. You get out and you can vacuum your car yourself. It doesn't cost you a dime on this one here. And I'm assuming, and maybe I shouldn't assume, but the applicant is going to be something similar to this. Go to the next picture, please. There you go. That's going in. And again, it's similar to the one up here on Main Street, but you never get out of your car. The next picture, please, ma'am. That's where you pay everything. You pay, you have, I think it's 4 different degrees of type washers you want. And the guy took me through there and he explained everything. Undercarriage, it's a great operation. I've never seen nothing like it. And thank you for the photos. Now the location for this project is ideal. It's ideal for what you just saw. Especially if we want to grow commercial, this is the great start right here. And we've already been told that the 4 locations behind here is going to be for office space. It's growing. It's growing. The reason I say that, my church, my home church owns the 55 acres across the street there at NH, on NHSI, and I think Keith, Free, and I, we've met before on something. We have a sign out there already. We've had interest for different parties, but we just have not had any commitments. This area right through here is going to bust wide open. And I'm talking from people I've talked to about our property. It's coming. And I asked that we start right now, tonight. I asked this board, let's reverse this planning commission's decision and let's get to work. Now, it was mentioned a while ago about traffic. Yes, that's traffic. Gosh, we're growing by leaps and bounds, but Stop 30 has nothing to do with the traffic on the NSI. It's the traffic light. I've talked to different departments about the light on Stop 30 and New Shackle Island. It takes forever to change. I stand there waving on that corner a lot of mornings. And I'm not waving at women. I'm just waving. I'm campaigning, okay? So that light will change before you can say the ABCs for Stop 30. They don't have a chance to move over 5 or 6 cars. Yeah, that's the problem. It's the traffic light. It's not the traffic. So I encourage my colleagues on this board to vote to reverse this planning decision, and let's move on. I yield back.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Cunningham, on the it needs to be on the amendment.
I'm totally lost about what the amendment is now.
So
But
the amendment,
my question, okay, I have a quick question for Keith. Currently, Keith, number one, what are the approved uses right now for that property?
I might have Timothy go over that. One use that's not approved currently, unless it's approved tonight, is the use of a car wash. Restaurants are approved, as Timothy was talking about, along New Shackle Island Road. Of course, you already have the Exxon station that now I think it's been converted to a BP station. And then those properties that are along Old Shackle on the rear of the property, those are all office uses. And so those are,
okay, so if the Exxon station is was an approved use, right?
correct.
What if that Exxon station had a car wash included in that, as many stations like that already have? Would that be an approved use?
Yeah, it would have been approved as an accessory use to the car wash, yes.
Okay, and the car wash right now that we're talking about tonight is right smack next door to that Exxon station. Is that correct?
That's correct. But it's
Okay,
going to be,
that's
yes.
okay.
Yes.
That's all I need to know, and I will definitely support this for Lori. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Sprouse.
You mute.
Sorry, I was talking to my wife there for a second.
Uh-oh.
I would like to address the amendment. Number 3, I think with the applicant has talked about requirements made previously with development. I think number 3 is burdensome. Number 5 and number 6, I was that's the ones I was originally wanting to look at because they're not specific. There are suggestions and recommendations, but there's nothing in there really is saying that. It's hard for us to pass a rule that says something is suggested and may be considered in the future, because no one needs us to approve that to have the ability to make that suggestion or to consider that in future city projects. Number 6, with right in, right out access restriction, I think that that's something that's overused. I know that there's some situations where that's merited, but I've seen in the last couple of years too many things where it seems to make absolute perfect sense that someone can pull out of a parking lot and turn right to go more directly into traffic, as opposed to having to go back around through another exit and wait through another intersection. That seems to create traffic as opposed to alleviate traffic. If it's not easy to get in and out that way, people won't do it. I think that gets a little too strict for something that the board needs to make recommendations on, and needs to be something that's considered as part of the site plan. So that's why I seconded Mr. Waters' motion to strike 3, 5, and 6. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson, thank you, Alderman Strauss. Alderman Robertson on the amendment?
Yes, I support the use of this for a car wash. I have a question for Ms. Ashley. Did I hear you earlier say that on the next development that the developer would put in a turn lane? That the next sale of property, I mean, maybe I misunderstood.
I'm sorry, on the next phase?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And that would benefit everyone that's involved on the project. That's not a problem at all.
Okay, so as the next phase is developed, the developer would agree to the suggestion about a turn lane off New Shackle.
Well, now, that's a state right of way. So we would have to it would have to be in coordination with the state. We don't have any rights other than whatever the state and or the city can work out. But absolutely.
With that agreement, then, to move it forward, I'll support the amendment.
Thank you, sir.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Woodcock.
Thank you, Timothy. One of the issues that hasn't been mentioned tonight was the appearance of the car wash as compared to the gas station. Has that been addressed?
Yes, sir. That has the applicant has agreed to all the staff comments that were related to architecture that was part of the site plan. Of course, that's not before the BOMA tonight, but they have agreed to those comments. So that they'll work with staff to address the architecture, and if this is approved tonight, then that will go to the planning commission for approval.
All right, thank you. That was my only question. And obviously, I'm sure everyone read the paper and the article. I've chosen to abstain for all votes on this project tonight. Thank you.
Alderman Woodcock, thank you. Alderman Hayes.
I'd like to call the question.
You are the last one with their hand up, so it may not be necessary for us to take a 2/3 vote to take a vote.
Okay.
I appreciate that, though.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna vote on the amendment, and the amendment is to remove staff comment number 3, staff comment number 5, and staff comment number 6 in your packet. That's on page 26. All those in favor of removing those 3 staff comments, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Boat,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli, Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Abstain.
Clary.
Aye.
That's 12 ayes, 1 abstention.
That passes with majority. Now we're on the main motion. I don't see anybody with their hands up. Please wave at me if I'm incorrect. All those in favor of the main motion as it's amended, and this is Resolution 2020-62, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Boat,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Abstain.
Clary,
Aye.
12 ayes, 1 abstention.
That passes by majority vote. Thank you, Kay. Next, we have Resolution 2020-66. This is the resolution of the governing body of the city of Hendersonville authorizing the issuance, sale, and payment of a non-interest-bearing capital outlay note not to exceed $175,000. Alderman Hayes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this resolution,
Hold on, Alderman Hayes. I need a motion first.
I'll make that motion.
Alderman
Second.
Robertson. Oh, we have a
Second.
motion from Alderman Hayes, a second from Alderman Robertson. Alderman Hayes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Board, the purpose of this resolution is to please the comptroller. The comptroller has asked that we use a template approved by MTAS on this inner city loan. Robert Manning has done a wonderful job of making it so, and I ask for your support for this tonight. Thank you.
Alderman Hayes, thank you. I don't see anybody with their hand up. If I'm wrong, please wave at me. All those in favor of Resolution 2020-66, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
No.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary,
Aye.
12 ayes, 1 nay.
That passes with majority vote. Next, we have under other agenda items, the appointment of Robert Manning as city recorder.
I so moved.
Alderman
Second.
Sprouse makes a motion. Alderman Waters seconds that. Alderman Sprouse, go ahead.
Thank you. First thing, just want to let folks know that I have discussed with Mrs. Franklin, and just because Mr. Manning would have the ability to take over that role on January 2nd, that does not mean that she will be leaving immediately. This allows for some transfer and some cross-training and just to make sure everything is set up. Secondly, this appointment, we've had some discussion previously about appointments of other positions mentioned in our charter, mentioned in code, and namely the city attorney. This is a very similar appointment. It's been said previously that city attorney is like city judge. Actually, city attorney is like city recorder in that it is an appointment that is made by this board to serve at the will of this board. The services can be terminated at any time, but without that, they are extended just like our department heads. They are extended throughout. So when we vote on this, Mr. Manning would be the city recorder, have the ability of people within his department to be his designees as he appoints them. And that would be a decision that would carry out until the board ever votes to change that. And so that's I just want to kind of explain that's very similar to how city attorney works. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Alderman Hayes.
Ms. Franklin, how many years have you worked for our city?
A little over 33 years.
Just want you to know how much we love you, appreciate you, and thank you for your service. And I'm glad to hear that you're going to still be here a little bit longer, and that's great. We love you and appreciate you. Also, just my hat's off to Robert Manning. He has done an awesome job for our city, and I'm all for anything Robert. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Alderman Hayes. I don't see anybody else's hand up. Oh, Alderman Brown. Alderman Brown, you have to unmute yourself for us to hear you.
There we go. I had to get back to myself to do that. So just a question for Robert, and I know he's on here. It's taken on quite a bit of additional duties. You know, I've been all Robert Manning from the time you started your present position, but I don't want you to be overloaded because we still need an efficient money man at the top and we need an efficient recorder. So tell me how you're going to keep both those balls in the air. I mean, I know you're fairly young. You do a much better job than I could juggling.
12 to 1.
My age, because getting back and forth would be tough. But
Thank you.
that concerns me a little bit, but not a lot. And I think other people would like to know how you're going to be able to do that.
Sure. Well, I'd like to mention that the Zoom courses definitely have changed the game quite a bit, but assuming that the board is meeting back in person at some point in the future, the electronic voting is still in place. And that's something that I consider my strong suit, is learning a system like that. However, I do have plans to appoint a designee to sit in my place with the board. Pending this vote going through, that I would like to move on that shortly thereafter to allow for as much training time as possible, not just for my designee, but for myself as well. And would love to be able to serve as the backup, but mainly that role I plan to delegate to one of my employees who I think her strengths are well suited to this position.
That's good. That's good.
Alderman Brown, anything else? Thank you, Alderman Brown. Thank you, Robert. Alderman Woodcock.
Robert, if I heard you correctly, you said you're looking forward to delegating this to one of your staff members. What would prevent us from just hiring this staff member as the city recorder?
Well, I suppose nothing would prevent that. No.
Why would we not do that?
I think that as an additional action, this is putting the role under finance as well, rather than having that combined with the mayoral assistant. It's sort of splitting that out and putting the city recorder duties under finance.
Okay, as the city recorder, is there, and I'm not asking you, I guess, the dollar figure, but is there a financial compensation for being the recorder?
I have no intention to receive any. If that's.
Yeah, I'm just going, you can shake your head, Jonathan. It's a fair question because someone asked me that and I wanted to be sure I gave an appropriate, accurate answer. And now I have that answer. And now everyone will know that there is no reason for a position to, for an employee to have two positions because there's no financial benefit. So
I'm just shaking my head, Daryl, because I love Robert.
Hold on. Alderman Hayes, hold on. Go ahead, Daryl. Go ahead, Alderman.
Shake your head.
I'm done.
Okay. Appreciate that. Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you. I'm glad, Mr. Woodcock, you asked that question. That's why I was in queue to discuss this. What Mr. Manning is proposing is not out of the ordinary. In fact, that has been the model, I would say, for a significant, if not the majority amount of time with the city of Hendersonville. While as we have all known Mrs. Franklin for decades for her work at board, mayor, and alderman meetings, acting as the recorder, for many of those years, she was acting as the recorder designee. She only became city recorder herself when Connie Wolfrey retired. And then when Kay became the administrative assistant to the mayor, then she also became the city recorder. So it's one of those things that this gives Robert the ability to have the entire functions of the office within his department, assign employees as needed, not just a primary, but a backup. And then he would have the authority to act himself if neither of those employees would be available. But that's a model that we've used for years. Kay, if you go back and look at minutes from, I guess, about 10, 15 years ago, you would see Kay is listed as attending the meetings as the city recorder designee.
Alderman Sprouse, thank you. Anybody else? All those in favor of appointing Robert Manning as our city recorder, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters, Waters,
Wait a minute, I got to unmute here. Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
It passes unanimously. Thank you, Kay. Next on our agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Brent.
We have, hold on, I'm sorry. Kay, have we forgotten anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, Alderman Sprouse makes a motion. Alderman Waters seconds that. All in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Boat,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye, happy Halloween, everybody.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
I think we lost him.
gone.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
It passed with unanimous vote. Thank you all very much. Tina, thank you so much for your help. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you for your help, Tina. Have a good night.